All right, this is the first episode of IQ's podcast, Infinite Quality. I'm the Sunny Machine, and today joining me is Feckless Man. Hey, say
Hello.
what's up, Feckless Man. Say more than that.
What's up, Feckless Man?
Yeah, perfect. The
It's
best
me.
Jared.
We're a bunch of freaking comedians in here. This is great quality stuff, guys. Way to
Already on a good start. Yeah. Wuta
Hello, everybody.
and Gone Fresh.
Yo, yo.
Beautiful. Um, this is our first time doing this, so I'm uncomfortable and feel great. Is that a good description for everybody?
We're all anxiety ridden.
I'm a little
It's a total
uncomfortable
nightmare.
because Freshie said less than I did the first time, and you made me say more. So now I feel like you have to make Freshie
Yeah.
say
I feel
more.
like I said
It
more
was
than
actually
enough.
my fault though, because I talked
It was-
over you
Yeah.
as well. You said it, so I was like wanted to give you a chance to have your voice be just your voice.
Now we come to the true reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to overdo it, so I figured a
Betrayal.
couple,
Wow. Well, welcome to IQ, everyone.
Yep.
What's that?
What
What's
is
an
IQ? Yeah. What is
What
infinite
is
quality? That's our
IQ?
shorthand for infinite quality, which is this very strange thing that we all made together.
we were asking the same question until recently. Also, it's it started off
Funny
as a,
you should ask that.
yeah, funny shit.
It's funny you should ask.
We were
So,
pondering it.
well, let's
I-
first
well,
talk about the fact that we're Twitch streamers. That would be a good idea. How about that?
Yes,
We start
four
there.
out of 5 of us. Now 5 out of 5 of us. It was 4 out of 5 of us. Now all
Yeah,
of us do.
4.5 out of 5.
Wait,
4.5.
Can we say the Y word or no? Is the Y word allowed?
Yes.
Yahi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yahi Ubi
Yeah,
Uberson.
what?
So as
What?
as Twitch
Thank you,
streamers,
too.
we like to try cool things and be different because, well, I mean, we like to do things well and do things people aren't doing. So I think that's like the first place that we should start is that we're trying to do the things everyone else does right, and then also try to do things people aren't doing yet, right?
Yeah, I can go with that. I think that's what infinite quality is at the core is we looked at Twitch and we realized that it's a saturated market, it's a challenge. We want to do it, so how can we do that? And that's how we came to where we're at essentially is well, there's stuff people are doing right, let's do that, but there's more we can do. And that brings us to where we are at this point.
Yeah, and Discord is having all kinds of encoding issues. So if you're hearing the audio sounds funny, that's why. Sorry about that. Um, so first of all, let's talk about the stuff that we've done. I mean, that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing. What are we doing? That's what we need to talk about next. So, the first thing we did was kind of put together a Discord. That was our first decision, like make a community Discord and talk to people about like this stuff, right? And that kind of evolved and then grew into a website. So now we have a Discord and a website, and
And that was cool. That was really cool.
yeah,
The website was a huge leap. That was
yeah, I really like where we're headed with what we got so far. So we have a nice little place for people to chat, and then on the Discord, originally we were sharing like graphics and upgrades and stuff because we have a very talented uh, graphic artist, Gravity Bee, who contributes pretty regularly content that would help streamers out if they want new panels. I make some stuff too. We've got some motion graphics in there now, holiday stuff. So all of that stuff's on the website, and we've also got some write-ups that Jared and Feckless Man and myself, we've all kind of gone over, and we're going to be writing regular content on there that's geared towards helping people improve their streaming and continue to improve their streaming. So
And I think the important thing, like if we're talking about what IQ is from the perspective of a user, is when we're talking about these graphics, when we're talking about write-ups, when we're talking about all that stuff, all of those items are aware of each other and are dependent on each other and are fully connected. And so IQ is kind of your full Twitch diet. Like it is made to take care of all of the attributes of the Twitch side of streaming. And as we continue to talk and other podcasts, we'll talk about how other things outside of Twitch are extremely important, but the content that is immediately available with infinite quality through the website and as a member is stuff that takes care of the full spectrum of the Twitch side.
Yeah. We're definitely trying to help people focus in the right areas, make smart decisions, and have some really nice graphics to help them play with things, upgrade their alerts, that kind of stuff. So, and all of this stuff is coming from us regularly. So we definitely want people to know that there's new stuff all the time, and we're constantly trying to figure out what to do next. So, and speaking
And
about
like
what,
Jared said,
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's for the streamer by the streamer, so that's equally as important that we are all firsthand firsthand experience with streaming and through the struggle and hopefully success. Uh, it's, we've all experienced many of the common like happenings when streaming and like and outside with the personal life and how it affects greatly the quality of one's channel.
I'm gonna go ahead and switch our Discord to Central because it's breaking up. One sec. All right, we should be switched now.
The topic's already too strong.
Yeah, you guys were all breaking up, so I don't know what's going on with the East Coast servers, but Central should be better, hopefully. Most of us are on the West Coast, so maybe we should just go there, huh?
I was here 6 p.m. my time.
So
I
to
was here.
expand on Freshy's point there a little bit, one of the good things about Infinite Quality is you have a group of people who are streamers that do, like he was saying, that do understand the struggles of everyday life streaming, and a lot of the times people in that situation, such as even myself back in the day, I didn't really have anybody to run this stuff by until me and Sunny kind of reconnected. I didn't have a lot of friends that were streaming. I didn't have people that were streaming. I didn't know. You don't have people to bounce those ideas off of, to talk to about streaming, to talk to about your struggles with OBS, to talk about your
True.
struggles with technology, to talk about, hey man, could you help me out with a microphone, or I'm having trouble with my audio setup, I'm having trouble with my webcam. Who do you have to run that shit by?
Yeah.
If it's just you and I, or you by yourself making all of this happen, because as we know, like putting together a stream is a production, it's a lot of work. I got to start 5 or 6 programs before I start.
Oh, you're robotic.
My stream.
Wow.
good.
Hold on. Let's try. Let's try Central again. Are
Are we
we
losing?
back? Yeah.
We losing.
Yeah,
voice?
I went back to Central.
Yeah,
All
that
the
time-
Discord servers.
That time I didn't hear anyone either. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We're back in Central.
Damn, I feel like
Say-
we had a
This
lot
is
of good
this is what
words.
happens when your first episode of podcasting on Infinite Quality, by the way. The Discord servers
mean-
go down.
Is
It
is
could
it
stay.
Discord? Is our bitrate too high or?
No, it's a call, so there's no control over that. And
Well, I didn't know.
yeah,
I don't know how the calls work.
the East
That's
Coast
why
servers
I never
were
use
bad.
them.
Yeah, we're all good. So, speaking about what you were saying, the community thing is huge, and that's why we started with the Discord. But then these discussions in the Discord made me realize it'd be nice to have a more permanent place for people to, like a searchable permanent platform where people can look at camera settings and those kinds of discussions.
Right. Discord happens fast.
Yeah, Discord happens so fast that I'm like, dang, there's a lot of valuable information flying by in the Discord. So I built the website so that people could go and take like the most valuable stuff that they've had and share it with us and with the community. So if you're an IQ member, I highly recommend that you use the website to make posts to tell us your tricks and try to share with us what's going on. That's what we're doing. We're trying to do that as a public entity here with the podcast. As streamers. We want to be able to share this information with you guys, and it's really helpful to have that community aspect. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for us contributing like that in the first place. So the more that people come into the site and write about their success stories, what they're doing, what we've done to help them, everybody needs to know that stuff. And the website's a perfect platform for people to actually come and leave that kind of information, and so that and then you can link that in the Discord and be like, I wrote this post about what's been working for me, all that kind of stuff, because we want your feedback and we want it to be a discussion. So the Discord's
Feedback's always
great.
crucial.
Yeah, the Discord's great for all of that, and the website gives us a place to have these blog posts that kind of save the really valuable stuff for all of us. It's
And
like
I
a
think
library.
a distinguishing thing with IQ and the format we have is you have all of these groups that maybe have attributes of what we do, but they also get flooded with people who want to post when they're going live, who want to talk about events, want to take the
Sure.
shortcuts that don't work. And so what we end up doing is we rip that stuff out and we give it's a little community, and it's you see the same people there, so they're invested, you're invested in them, you form this community. And if those sorts of things happen eventually where you care if somebody goes live, it's because it happened organically and it has nothing to do with announcements and stuff like that. It's actually a place where people are actually growing in substantial ways, and that is one of the things that makes it so different than other organizations.
Yeah.
Right. And what I would say to that point is that basically the community aspect is what sort of divides us from, or sets us apart from a stream team or something like that, where it's just basically a bunch of people, rating each other and telling each other when they're going live, and which we can do. That's part of
People
what we
can do that
but-
inside of our network. I'd like that to be clear.
Right.
Teams are something that should maybe friends and groups can
Naturally-
form. Yeah,
naturally
people who
form.
play the
Naturally,
same
of
games
course.
or know each other, or like they should work
Or even
together.
if you trust each other's quality and you
Yeah.
want to impress, and there is payoff, like if I'm investing in somebody because maybe I keep rating Wooter here, and then he realizes that we have a beneficial relationship, and so he does it back, and so those things
Yeah.
form naturally.
Yeah, teams
and
are
it's
going to
good, so that
form.
stuff
We're
should
not
be
trying to
encouraged,
be
yeah.
a team for sure.
Right.
But
we're
it
more than a
keeps it
team.
out. Yeah, it keeps out the trash tactics that
Right.
often happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of those going on Twitch right now. I'm sure we could talk. We're gonna have a whole podcast episode about those things.
Well, just to
Will
make
be
that
burning
point,
pants.
there's a lot of Infinite Quality members. I'm not followed on all of them. I don't have all of them followed. No offense to any of you
Right.
that are
That's not
members,
the
but
point
I'm
of
not
this.
following every
Right.
single one of you. Yeah, that's not what this is about. I'm not here to follow you. I'm here to help you out. But I'm not here to just go to be another number on your channel.
Correct.
That's not what this is.
I mean,
Correct.
but you
Not a
could
follow
be
for
though
follow.
potentially if they do. I
Yes.
mean,
If I like
You
your
do
channel, I'll
follow
be there,
Infinite
and I'm
Quality
gonna follow
members.
you.
It's just not a given.
Right.
That's not how
Yes.
this works.
I'm not going to follow you just because you're an IQ member. I'm going to
Correct.
follow you
This
because I
isn't-
like you.
Yeah, this is not a follow for follow or lurk for lurk scheme.
Right.
Correct.
This is not just a stream team. This is not any one of the things that we've mentioned before. It's all of those things, and it's more of those things, or it's more than those things. And to speak to a point that Stephen mentioned earlier about relating to community and how when you get started in streaming, and a lot of the people in our group are newer streamers, newer affiliates, and like he said, when you get started, it's hard to find people to bounce ideas off of and say, hey, does this work? Should I do this? Should I play this game? This and that. Sometimes you do have that person, but there can be problems with having just one person.
Right.
You can't always get a full-orbed view of what you should do, and you might just get that guy's idea of what you should do, and you can get the same thing from watching a YouTube video or whatever. So maybe there's some personality you follow, or worse yet, watching big streamers and copying them, which to an extent is something you can do, but you have to keep in the back of your mind that they're big streamers, they can do what they want. So maybe not all the things that they are currently doing are things that you should necessarily be copying. If
Well,
you
not
want to
everything
become
works for
like them.
everybody. Is that what you mean?
Well, correct. I mean, not everything and not everything can work for everybody.
Correct. Yeah.
Some
and here-
some things may work because you're in a position to do those things, and if you're not in that position, it can be more difficult to pull off. Example: there are big streamers that stream without face cams. That
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that you should stream without a face cam. In fact, I would recommend that you should never stream without a face cam.
Unless you have no face.
Unless you have a face. Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Or you live in a country that doesn't exist.
Okay. So
Hmm.
all right, so
Yes, quality.
that covers a lot of who we are and what we're doing. This podcast is part of what we've been planning and working on. We've also got video tutorials that I've started and will be coming out, and hopefully I stir more people to do. I'd like other people in Infinite Quality members to do these things too. If you can teach something, go ahead and share it with us, and then we'll see what we can do with it. So I'd like a content curation area on the site where people can submit things. We've already got that in the form of write-ups, and people can leave comments. There's all kinds of areas for discussion on the site, and if your write-up is really good, we can move it into the 101 category. We want this to be a greater discussion with all of us. I want community curated art. We need community moderators. There's a lot of things that we need that require not us, and so I want to give people a place to contribute if they want to in that way. That's
Also,
kind of the future.
a lot of tricks. Like most people have a grasp. Well, not most people, but some things are just the problem is that they're not explained as well. These tricks and they're almost common. It's almost common sense, and that's what I'm trying to get at. It's almost common sense. Some of the things, and
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
I don't.
They
I'm not
just
trying to
get
say people
glossed
don't
over
have it,
too
but
easily. Is that what you mean? Like
I
once you
think,
look
I
at
think I
it,
understand what he's saying is let's say a topic that we can talk about is somebody can say, we could easily say, don't play Fortnite because you're never going to be found, and you'll hear that, but that's not a conversation.
yeah,
And IQ provides a grounds for conversation and understanding things. I mean, that's a really general idea, but like there's do's and don'ts that we all know, and they all should be common sense, and yet it doesn't impact you properly in the way that in this environment it can, because when you exist in an environment like this, and our goal is that everybody is always looking to make some effective change. If I look at Wuta and he all the time is streaming his favorite game and he is 10,000th on the list, he's going to look dumb when I'm like, hey dude, how's it going? What are you working on? The community aspect makes it so that he's looking at the community. He knows that he should be growing, and it causes him to be thinking, and it causes those common sense things to be seen a lot more clearly, instead of watching a YouTube video where these things are just actually available. A lot of the stuff we say is totally known and available. We just, in this environment, make it more impactful.
yep.
and not
That's a good
everything.
point.
That's a bunch of things, but that's not everything, of course. Some things are they need to be taught or shown like from scratch. People who don't know, whether it's operating OBS or
Mhm.
other technical softwares. So it goes beyond the common sense too, which is nice. It's
Yep.
it's a multi
good.
level educational.
We're worried about helping people do things in an educated manner. I think that's one way to say it. We want people to understand why they chose to do something on more levels, because when you understand why you're doing it, you can do it in other software. It's like abstract thinking in a way, and that I think this industry kind of requires that, and it's easier when you have a group, and that's why we built this. That's why we all came together. I think that's probably a good time to move to the next section in the outline. So somebody want to drop us in that direction?
I feel like we're just flying through.
What and why?
through the
I
whole-
mean, yeah.
There was a segue there, but we missed it.
Well, yeah, we did miss it, but it's okay. We can use.
We can
just-
plug it in. This
yeah,
is being
go ahead.
recorded, so we can just plug it in.
No, you're good.
Nah, hold on. Let me think.
Think what I can't pull up the outline, guys. Just pull up the outline. And what is the
No,
second one?
it's actual change versus perceived
Yes,
change.
that's
Oh, on the
Jared's
outline,
topic.
whoa.
That's right. That's why I forgot what it was.
Jared
Right,
actually
and-
had purposefully created a segue a moment ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why I was trying to offer you the
I
table
was still on
here.
the about page. That's why.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So effective change versus. We were already kind of talking about this.
Well, I suppose we can use Steven's example because Jared did create that segue actually perfectly when he talked about Steven playing his
Yeah.
favorite game. You know, Steven played PUBG. Or sorry, I can't call him Steven on here. So
Wuta. Let's use
Wuta.
our
he's
handles.
my brother. It's second nature. I can't.
You can call
like,
me. You can call me
I-
whatever you want.
I know. It's just
Wuta.
I don't want to.
Do
We need to
wa-
be
do
It's easier
real
for
quick,
the
do you guys
audience.
want
Standardized.
to
Wuta is fine.
create a moment of silence so that we can segue without weird audio?
No, this is all being recorded onto a video, so you guys are screwed. Go ahead. Yep. It's
No,
going
I mean,
right on
we-
YouTube as is. That's not.
Beautiful. I love that.
You're joking, right?
No, I'm not joking. Go ahead.
Why? Wait, what? Why would you do that to us? You're horrible.
I'm not horrible. It's
Do it
why is that
live.
horrible?
Come on,
We
do
can
it
talk
live.
for an hour, record it, and it's a podcast. People
I
want to
thought
listen
this was
to
a
us
safe.
via
I
discussion.
thought this was a safe space, Matt.
It is a safe space.
Okay, so
Debated.
actually,
Easy.
let's go ahead and talk about Wooter's favorite game, PUBG, which he played for the longest time. I mean,
Yeah.
Feckless, you were going to. That's a perfect example of what like we talk about effective change and perceived change, and during that time period, I'm positive that that Wooter was adjusting things, doing things, but any changes he did were perceived. He may have even thought that he had progress in certain areas and really overemphasized perhaps. And Wooter, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably had days where you were like, "Cool, things are going all right." But
Oh sure.
but then all of a sudden something clicked in your life as far as streaming is concerned, and your attempted and perceived change and falsely I don't know the right word for it. You had like this, I would assume, an illusion
was a light bulb
of
moment.
yeah, like and then you started to actually do effective change, meaningful change, and that's something that as we talk about this, I think this is the section that this is going to be very meaningful to members who have access to us, who can ask us things, and it may cause some light bulbs in other people who view this. But like within IQ, very often we have people who come in the state that you were in before your major growth spurt, and now you're one of our premier members. You're killing it. And so maybe you might be the perfect example to talk about ineffective and effective changes that you did.
Yeah, I can run through that pretty easily. I mean, it's no as everyone said, my favorite game for a while there was PUBG. It's pretty much all I played. I played a lot of it with my squad, aka my buddies. For the most part, it was just my high school buds, and we would sit there and play and banter, and which sounds like a lot of fun. From you like, okay, this is gonna be fun because we're funny, and it's
yeah,
like
and it sounds like a lot
right.
of streamers,
It
and a lot of streamers
yeah,
have that
it sounds like, oh,
mentality.
this is gonna be a lot of fun, right? Well, it's kind of not. When you don't really, you got to look at it from an outside perspective instead of your perspective. But so I did that for a long time, and I had a little core group of viewers who would come by, just a couple people. But I wasn't getting new follows. I wasn't getting new subs. I wasn't growing my channel. I wasn't going anywhere. I did the same thing for like almost a year, and really didn't grow at all. So when Jared came steamrolling into Twitch and started just shooting right past me, in no time, it kind of made me go, holy crap, like what is he doing that I'm not? What the hell? I've been doing this for a year and a half or whatever at the time. I've been doing this a long time. What's he doing that I'm not doing? And it's like, well, it turns out that playing, like, again, what I'm doing is not as entertaining as I thought it was. So I took a step back, and my girlfriend's the one who told me. She's like, you should just talk to Jared and ask him, what is he doing that you're not? And more or less that's what brought it up. And I started making my effective changes of switching from playing multiplayer games with all my buddies to playing single player games where I become the focus of the entertainment, where I become the focus of the stream, and my reaction to playing the game becomes what draws people into it, and my interaction with my viewers, which again, I thought I did okay with that, Even with little viewers I had, I was okay at talking with them. But a few of the other practices that we've have published on Infinite Quality have really helped me out as well. But the effective changes were definitely changing the game format, and the game format I would say is number one. What really helped me out.
Oh, yeah, instantly changing from a game that would put you in a sea of other streamers to top 15 immediately. You
Even
will
with 3 viewers.
you instantly
Yeah.
your guarantees a hard word to, but growth or potential growth is
Well,
there, and
it's a no-brainer, right? If you're on the front page of a game, you have an exponentially higher chance of someone clicking you than you do if you're on page 95. Like
now
that's just a no-brainer.
getting the follow is obviously, that is to be earned, but the view itself is like
Yeah, that's step one.
That's
the,
hard
the
enough.
chance of view has risen manyfold, and
And I
just
think
that alone, yeah.
I think one of the things, like as we're talking about this, because it's really easy for anybody who's listening, who's an IQ member or not, to be like, oh, they're talking about specific topics. But what we're actually talking about is a mentality, because all change
Totally.
can be effective. And so when we're talking about like, oh, they're going to tell me to change games, well, maybe you're in the right game. Maybe you still aren't having the results you want. And what we're talking about is this whole mentality of looking at your stream and going, what can I do that will affect my stream in a positive way? A good example would be, let's say, looking at yourself on camera. Oh my gosh, I'm on the wrong side. Well, that's a change I can make that actually has an effect on my stream, because the preview image changes and now you can see me with my beautiful long flowing hair or sexy ass mustache. Like, you can see that stuff now. And that's the mentality that we want our IQ streamers to have, is what change do I need to make? And not, hey, what changes can I make? But what change is actually going to have an effect? It's about using a sharp mind,
Yeah.
and that is of the utmost importance to our mentality. It changes things from when people say, hey, I'm going to make a stream improvement. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to fix my BRB screen. Now,
Yeah.
BRB screens are important. They're cool. I'll tell you, if you have the right one, people aren't leaving your stream when you BRB, and it's really freaking weird when you find one and make one. But is that actually the effective change you need? If you have 5 viewers and 2 of them are your parents, then the BRB screen isn't what you need to be worrying about. You need to think about what can affect my stream most. And so one of the tenets of IQ is make a change, but make an effective change. Don't just change for the hell of it. And that's I think that's the heart of what we're talking about. And we see Wuta, he did that. He looked at his stream and said, wait a second, this thing, I have an issue in front of me, and I'm going to do this, and it's hopefully going to have this effect. And if it hadn't had that effect, then the proper thing would be, okay, well, how do I get that effect? What do I do to create the effects that I want? And so very often people get distracted by some of the Infinite Quality streamers who do really cool things, and they want to imitate us. I have my stupid animation crap, and Sunny has amazing graphics, and Wuta has amazing interactions with games and entertaining reactions, and people look at that and say, I want to have a stream. I want to be like those guys. But that's not the thing. What they actually need to understand is that's not what made our streams at all. The thing that made our streams and continue to make our streams are the facts that when I'm driving to work after I do my morning routine, and about halfway through my drive, I turn off the audio I'm listening to on my phone, and I think to myself for the next 10 minutes, is there something I can change in my stream that is not an absurd amount of work but will actually be effective? And I've always done that since I started streaming 7.5 months ago, and it has gotten me to the point where as of late, I mean, there's partners who are acting like fans. There are big raids coming from places. There are follows, a significant amount of follows every night. There's subs coming in. There's friendships and community being developed that's actually real and not follow for follow. And all of that comes from the mentality of, I want to make a change always, and I want it to have an effect. And so I'll do the smart change instead of the cool changes. And sometimes they are cool changes. And so that's what we're talking about when we talk about effective versus perceived. Like I can perceive I'm changing something because I changed my BRB screen, but it doesn't have an effect.
Yeah.
Well, and to sort of piggyback onto what you're saying, and to also to reference something that Wuta said earlier, and something that Gone Fresh said, or even earlier than that, it's really you can't miss this point. It's about the mindset, because just changing a thing is not it's not the thing. Changing you is the thing. So don't listen to what Steven said. Don't listen to what Wuta says about playing. I was playing multiplayer games. Then I switched to single player games. Then I got a bunch of viewers. Oh, so I need to play single player games. No, that's not the conclusion that you need to come to from that, chain of events.
Right,
That's the
because that might
thing
not work
he
for you.
Correct. That's the thing he changed. Now, we're not saying don't play multiplayer games. You can play multiplayer games. We're not saying don't play with your friends. You can play with your friends. Plenty of streams make that work. And there are ways to promote your stream, to make your stream work with that sort of format. But I will say it is easier with a single player game. It's easier to market. It's easier to pull off. With Steven's personality especially, it was much easier because he was able to focus on chat, which is, the reason Twitch exists. And that's a whole other Twitch chat is a whole other conversation that I'm sure we'll have a whole podcast on.
Definitely
But
has a lot of value.
Uncontrolled variables too,
right, there's a ton of variables, but the
but
point is,
uncontrollable ones, which are your multiplayer peoples.
right, exactly. You're exposing yourself to more variables by playing multiplayer games
Yeah.
and allowing more people in
Which
voice
again,
chat.
it could be cool, or it could go fire back against you.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure.
To flip
But-
it around, it's almost like what we're talking about is more an awareness of what doesn't work.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if
that's a good way to
if
say
you
that.
realize, hey, this is not working, then stop doing it and think about what's not working about it and what can I change.
Right.
And that is probably I know it's the opposite, but it's probably a more accurate description of what we're talking about.
Right.
Right. And getting that mindset is the thing that's going to turn these individual changes of things within your stream into actual change and actual growth for your stream. Because without the mindset of how can I improve, you're not going to improve. You're just going to change things.
Right.
And I've seen plenty of people that hear our advice, or I tell them, hey, you might want to consider doing this thing. It's like, oh, maybe play this game. That might work for you. It's a good game for growth right now. They switch to the game, they still got 5 viewers or whatever, because there's other elements that are missing.
Yeah.
They're maybe still not, interacting with chat in a correct way, or, there's a bunch of things that you can't just change one thing and sort of expect it.
And it won't
expect
happen
everything to
overnight.
fall in
That's
line.
the other thing too.
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
invest a lot of time. And this is all the stuff we're talking about. We're going to get probably more in depth on a lot of things, but I think the key point of figure out what's not working, and what might work, and try those things. And in some way, what we're doing is trying to have that discussion with you, as IQ, as Infinite Quality. So, one of the things, this is a good section for us to actually segue into the next stuff. We can talk about some of the key things that we're discussing and that we've discussed specifically that are areas of change for people, and maybe our perspective on that. So the first one would be what we've already kind of touched on, is game selection. So game selection is probably, I don't know, where would you guys rate it on importance? Like, do you like?
To me, game selection and preview image are the two most important ways to be found on Twitch.
Okay, so if
Well,
you
we're
choose the
talking
wrong
about-
game, what happens? What are the
If you choose
consequences?
the-
Just no
well,
growth. It's just
Yeah, if you choose, okay, so I would say there's two options: no growth or slow growth.
what about
um,
another third
that's
option
perfect.
I'd like to offer you may choose some. There's some difficulty in choosing a game you love that now you have to play it forever. So game selection is a pretty deep topic because like in some level, like imagine yourself, are you going to play PUBG for 10 years? Is
Well,
that your
and we're
game?
talking about small streamers, by the way, not like people who have,
Well,
you know,
imagine you go from a small stream to a sizable audience with your
yeah,
game.
when you have that community, you can shift, you can tread different waters that may have not been accessible to an earlier time.
Right, but
Well, yeah,
that requires
the
that.
larger you get, the broader range and more options you have.
But you have to
And
exercise those
that's
well. That's the other thing.
exactly. No
But
matter what,
early
the same
game, no
principle.
pun. I think game selection is crucial.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's like 5 things that are all the most important thing, and game selection is one of them.
So what happens when you choose the right game? What are you trying to achieve? Like, what's the goal?
For me, choosing a game right now is my goal is to bring more people into my channel. It's to bring new people into my channel so they can meet me and join what I'm doing. Basically, is my main goal. So for me to be found requires, like we were saying earlier, if you want to be found, it's a lot easier to be found, or for someone to find your stream if you're on the front page.
What does
to
that
be
mean?
visible.
Go into more detail. Let's go into detail about what this
Well,
means.
getting clicks. I mean, just
No.
getting-
Like, let's talk about physically on the site so people understand what we mean. So if you
Okay,
pick
okay.
Fortnite, how long does it take to someone to physically scroll through with their mouse wheel
So
I
let's go-
tried it.
let's-
I
I'll
actually
go
tried
now,
it.
to
actually.
get
Let's
to
see.
me
If I
when
go
I'm playing
Fortnite-
Fortnite? You
Right,
can't
so
find
let's
me
say right now.
I've
So-
tried.
so,
I
yeah,
fell
looking
short.
right now, here's a perfect example. Currently, right front page of Twitch on Fortnite, the lowest person on the front 9 streams, right? Which
So
is
you're talking about the
top-
game selection
page.
itself, just to
Yeah.
be clear, not the actual
Yeah,
front
you go
page.
to go to the game of Fortnite, right? If you're looking for, you say you're going to view yourself a Fortnite streamer, okay?
how far do you have to scroll?
Fortnite on the first 9 streams, the lowest number on that is 2,499 viewers.
I
Okay.
kind of wish you could flip the
So-
page so you had
Shaking my
low
head
view
really.
count
I don't.
first.
I don't
Like,
actually
sort by
have
viewers?
a number
wonder
of
how much that
pages
would
to
change
go
the
past,
situation.
But I've been scrolling for a long time, and I'm still at people that are in 50 viewers.
Yeah,
And that's out of most people's range that are small streamers.
yeah,
50, here's 37. Like, you got to go really far down. If you're at 5 viewers, you're
Yeah.
buried under 1,000 people.
yeah.
So that means someone has to scroll through 1,000 people to
You have a
come find
new
you.
difficulty if your game selection is
Yes.
Fortnite. Like,
But now go to a different game and boom, you're instantly.
Now, yeah, well, what's another? Let's say I'm about to play Hollow Knight. So let's say Hollow Knight. We go to Hollow Knight. Top on the first 9, the lowest number is 5.
so you'll be on the top
Okay,
row.
the top person's 239. Yeah, I'd be in the top row. I'd be the one of the top 3 streams.
So
That
it's
means
all
if
about
I have a high chance of a lot higher chance of someone clicking on my stream.
right.
And
by
you
a
have a
huge
really high
margin.
chance of getting a raid from that top guy when he's done.
Sure.
That
Game
too.
If he wants to
selection
keep
is
people.
complicated.
Yeah, it
Ooh,
is.
that's
very
another
It's a
point,
super
too, yeah.
complicated topic.
Yeah.
But
It really
as
is. We could
Feckless
kind of
Man-
have an entire podcast just on game selection.
That's what this is kind of for a bit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those niche games, they also have like Jared said, there's like a community, like an unwritten kind of like a community within that kind
Right.
of.
Well, for
Nerd
Hollow
think
Knight, for
itself.
example,
I think
has
the key-
377 viewers and 163,000 followers that follow the game. That follow that game specifically.
Looking at chat, like it is summarized in the word visibility, because visibility is a deep term. Visibility has to do with not just game selection, but it has to do with your preview image and title and all these other attributes. And if we assume all of those other attributes are perfect, let's just say you have the perfect title and the perfect preview image, and all you got to do is select the right game. It still is not an easy topic, because you have to select a game that is small enough but is also big enough. You have to select one that has enough streamers that you can look at it and go, oh, people do search for this game. You can't just be like, oh, cool, there's 70 people watching this game. Oh, they're all on one guy. Well, guess what? Nobody searches that game. They're all there for that guy.
Yeah. That's
like
true.
It's complicated. And the beautiful thing about IQ is very often I get messages from my IQ members because I have done exceedingly well with game selection since I
Yeah.
started. And like I have had maybe one misstep since we started, and we bailed the hell out of that thing really quick. And so I get messages from my queue members, and they're like, "Hey, is this game good?" And it's a practice and a skill. Uh, so I think Feckless Man has something I think he wants to share, and he actually is very like this.
You
is a
said the
good
quiet
topic for
part
him.
out loud. You said the quiet part out loud. I was just trying to hint to like wind it down and let me talk for a second. Anyway, so like I just want to dial it back real quick because there's sort of an important like underlying prerequisite to game selection that we didn't even talk about at all. And this is important to address because we don't know who we're talking to. This podcast is going out
Yeah.
to who knows who, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, a 10K Andy could be listening to this, or like a 500 viewer
Sure.
streamer, or a 100, right? So all of this is relative.
Well, IQ
So-
works with affiliates, so
right. So
from our
all of this-
perspective, we've been focusing on helping that.
correct.
kind of
So
group.
so we're generally talking about people within like a certain range of viewers, but you need to. I feel like it's important when you're selecting a game. You need to know your. I need to come up with a snappy term for this, but the number of viewers that organically come to your stream, no matter what you're playing, your core community, your core viewership, you need to know what that number is, and that will tell you basically what games you can play realistically and get into a set, you know, top 5, top 10, whatever, top 3 rows, if that's the goal, which is usually what we recommend is top 3 rows, which is the top 15. Ideally you want to be 1 or 2. The reason for that is because mobile is sorted differently and you're more likely to be on the first page of mobile. But that's mobile is a whole other
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
We'll
And
probably have a whole
specifically-
podcast on it.
Yeah.
Specifically, the thing Feckless just said, that is the reason I've excelled at game selection is, and I'm glad he brought that up. Feckless and I, as I've said, him and I have worked really closely since the start of my stream 7.5 months ago. We have the entire time have known what my minimum is if the minimum amount of people show up that commonly do, how many do I have? And so like if you ask me that right now, I know the exact number that are going to show up if I play some random ass VR game that literally has no followers. There's nothing
Yeah.
there. We know how many people are showing up, and so what that does is it lets me know where I can go, and it's that knowledge that actually informs my ability to select games. It doesn't have to do with my maximum viewers because that's random because of raids. But the real important thing with game selection is you have to know how many people are going to show up if I play something nobody's ever seen before, and that
Yeah.
dictates my game range.
Yeah.
That's the real test. If you went
It's-
into just chatting, who would show up?
So can we say game selection is somewhat linked to your viewership and your community, like where you can go different places if you have more viewers, and that's a part of game selection.
Yeah, if you have
a way,
if you
yes.
have a higher if you have like a higher core group, like that's why these huge streamers, they have their number of what they play when they play whatever game they want is still really high, so they can play whatever they want. That's essentially what I think what he was saying is basically like if your number of playing an unknown game is still 2,000, then yeah, you can play whatever the
Yeah.
heck you want.
So
Well,
But
I-
if you're a small streamer and your number when you play a random game, like say you mainly play Rocket League and 100 people show up, and then you go play PUBG and 5 people show up, you know what I mean? That's a massive discrepancy. It's a lot of people that aren't coming to
Yeah.
your PUBG stream; they're just there for Rocket League.
yeah.
and,
So
and
you
that
gotta
will
keep
happen
it-
also. I've
Totally.
I've seen someone who's a prominent figure in their game, and they pull about 1,000 to maybe 3 of its crazy hosts or whatever, but I've seen them drop to 250 just because they switched games to a.
We have a friend who will remain nameless, and we see him all the time. He streams regularly for 500 people, but he goes to another game, and he's sitting. Yesterday, I saw him at 25
Yeah.
when we were sitting at like what 65, and that's crazy because he's
And this
Yeah.
is part. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so it affects
That's
partners as
that's how
well.
big it
Game
is. Yeah,
selection
that's how big
is
it
so important that it can demolish a partner's ability to grow, because there's no way that this person was growing playing Rainbow Six when he had 25 people watching him. It doesn't matter, and that's why you see. I think this is a really important thing to master, because you will see all the time when you go to stream a game and you're like, oh, who's above me and below me, and you're like, why does this partner have 100,000 follows, but they literally have 30 people watching, and you're like, well, because they're game locked.
Yeah, they're out of
stuck in a game.
Yeah.
And then think about this. Now that big streamer, they built up the I guess not time, but they've earned themselves to play that game and to unfortunately drop that low and recover. They're able to recover. Now the lower end stream, not lower end, the smaller streamer, like are they able to afford that same loss? You gotta think about it in that sense too.
I
Can you
see what you're
afford that?
saying.
You know what I'm trying to say? Can you-
Is the drop off harder for somebody who doesn't have that buffer of that check mark next to their
Right.
name?
So if I go from Rocket League with 15 viewers to PUBG with 10 viewers, that's a lot, but you still have 10 viewers. So
Yeah, it's 33%, but it's 33% of less that,
Yeah.
that are dropping off. You shave 33% off of a 500 viewer, and suddenly you're down to 450.
So yeah,
So
game
that's
game
a little more
selection
impactful.
is like directly related to your viewership in some cases. It's like, and in some cases it also gives you agency to move around, but you have to be aware of what that means. You may go from 2,000 viewers to 25 switching games, but that 25 is still more than some other people. So you could use that in certain ways if you want to expand, but just you have to be careful because you don't want to lose your community because they think you're just switching games and you're never going to go back to that game. It's a very complicated
Right.
situation.
Yeah, and navigating being a true variety streamer is a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah.
And I can speak to I followed one particular partner that made that shift from like a very specific game jumping into variety streaming, and it's a really interesting story of like how it happened and how in this case it worked, but in a lot of cases it can be a total disaster. And I think that might be something we can talk about next time,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
we can go more in depth about how to avoid getting game locked or
Yeah.
genre locked.
This is
Some
good.
people, some people are really stuck in where they are, and that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. If you're able to branch that out into maybe a similar genre, different game, then you can sort of use that as sort of a wedge, or maybe not a wedge, more like an avenue to like a road to take your viewers down to keep
Right.
them with you. And that's actually something that Jared and Steven both have had experience with in recent history. So we can probably talk about that next time.
Yeah. So
But as for now, I have
Yeah.
to go feed my children.
nice. Thank you guys for joining us. If you guys want to take off, I would just want to say thank you for spending the time to record this with us and get
My
this
pleasure.
out there. I'm just going to close out by explaining a little bit about what we'd like to do with the podcast in the future. We're going to be recording multiple of these as we move forward. We'd like to have a Q&A with people and invite people on for sections in the future. So if you guys are interested in that and joining us on these podcasts, let us know in the Discord for sure. We're going to be building out stuff on the website, and hopefully we see you guys in the application page. If you're not an IQ member, go to infinitequality.live and check out what we're doing. You guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, bye.
See you later.